helps me out. I'm technology.
I'm like, oh, hey. You missed the hand gesture. Oh.
I'll let you.
This one's going to be fun
Yes.
today. You're actually going to do
I
something.
think this is and there's extra help
I guess we'll wait 3 minutes because if I don't, 5 people will come in. Everybody's got a computer? That looks good. Everybody's got Chrome. Excellent. Man, we're progressing so well.
All right.
We did 6, 7,
675.
how much was it?
Well, Pete speaks me this afternoon, and we'll see if we get all those. We took all the old ones out,
Good. You wiped it?
wiped it, we tagged and sourced, and we did 2 tags. We even did
Good.
by neighborhood of the address of where they live, like the
Okay.
city. We're gonna make that into separate tags.
Perfect.
So now we just have to,
So the light's kind of coming on.
yeah,
In most of you have been in a previous class, and what I've said in the past is you prep the wall before you paint it. And one of the things that Jeannie is going through, she's got this huge database. And several months ago, they imported the database in. And so here we are today, and now it's like, uh-oh, boy, I wish we could have done that all over again because I would have brought it in a little differently. Because remember in one of the very first classes when we talked about contacts, we talked about tags and how you could tag a contact. So now here we are, a month later, and you got all these names in your database, and now we want to start doing some marketing, whether it's email marketing or whether it's texting or whatever. It could be postcards. And so we have to figure out how we're going to sort the database, because you got a bazillion names in there, but you don't want to send an email out to all bazillion people, right? So how do we tag them? And if we could tag them by things like sports team or arthritis foundation or whatever it is that's special to you, then we can say only do my marketing to those people. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so where Jeannie is she had a bazillion names already in there, but we had no tags. And the problem with Command is if you bring in a whole bunch of names and you don't tag them when you bring them in, then you have to go back and manually tag them, which is not the end of the world until you find out that you can only tag 50 at a time. So if you have 14,000 names, it becomes an issue. And so what we ended up doing with Jeannie is wiping her entire database, re-importing, but re-importing with the specific tags. And a contact can have more than one tag. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So they could be a Falcons fan and a Georgia fan, right? So that's what Jeannie has experienced, and that's one of the things that we're going to talk about this morning is it's so important to prep the wall before you paint it. In other words, clean your database before you import those names. Okay? And one of these days, and I don't know when it's going to be, but one of these days Command will be such that you'll have all kinds of tools that you can go in after the fact and rejigger the database. But today, there's not a lot of tools for rejiggering. It makes it problematic. Jeannie?
I do have a question.
Okay.
So I have tags in this list that I want to import, but the tags aren't yet aren't in Command. Should I put them in Command first and then put the list over?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
When you do an import, into Command from an external, let's just say a spreadsheet, okay? Then if you remember, let me see if I've got the screen set up for our stream first. Let me switch to All right, so this is, now everybody that's streaming live can actually see the board up here. So the question was, should I go into command first and set up my tags, or does it matter? And it doesn't really matter. Most of you have seen spreadsheets before, right? And you know how spreadsheets have columns? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we might have first name, and then last name, and then company, and then eye color, right? It doesn't really matter. But, and then one of these columns might be called tags. So when you put your database together from wherever you keep it, one of the columns that we want to keep up with is tags, all right? And let's just say, so give me some examples of tags that you guys use. You have a bridal show.
Bridal is one.
All right, hang on.
UGA.
Bridal, UGA,
Garden club.
garden. Okay, so you get the idea. And so when you import names into command, you can bring in for each record. Okay, so let's say here is record number 1. First name is Jeannie, Posner, Keller Williams, blue eye color, and here are the tags. So you could have 9 bazillion and a half names that come down here. These are called rows. These are called columns. All right. So we bring in this record called Jeannie, and we have multiple tags for Jeannie. That's okay. Okay. You can have multiple tags for every record. And when we import them into command, if these tags were not already in command to start with, then it brings them in. So you're okay. So you're okay. It would be helpful if you spelled them correctly the way you wanted it, because if you didn't, you'd have to come back in after the fact 50 at a time and correct it. Question?
Do you know if they're adding, or is there a way to add for, I know there's home anniversary, but their anniversary, like?
So you have what are called custom fields in command. So within command, in the settings, which is in the top right corner, if you go down to settings, and then over on the left-hand side, it will give you, I think it says command settings or system settings or something like that, and they'll say custom fields, and you can create custom fields to do exactly that. So a custom field is different than a tag. Okay? A custom field generally is something that's going to be A or B or C every time. So when you have a custom field, there's only one piece of data that can go in a custom field. You can't have multiple pieces of data in a custom field. So let's just say that we had a custom field over here called anniversary. All right, and number 1 is going to be date, and it's going to be 1/1/1980. All right. So the only thing that will ever be in this custom field called anniversary will be the date. You will never have multiple dates in a custom field. So if custom fields are important to you, then hit me up after the class and we'll talk about how to create a custom field. And then when you bring custom fields in, you can bring them in any way you want to. Make sense?
Would something like previous client be in custom field?
Could be, or it could be a tag. So I probably, me personally, I probably would not waste a custom field when you could put a tag called, maybe you call it PC or you could call it previous client if you wanted to. But you know how when you see command and you see your contacts and it has these columns for command. If you had one column called tags and you had big long tags that were this wide, you'd use up all the real estate on your screen, which makes it kind of hard to see the rest of the stuff that you want to see.
So tell again, you've got under settings, you've got custom tags and custom fields.
Yeah, so custom fields is where you would set up your custom field. And you would call it anniversary or something like that. Now, of course, sometimes one of the things that's a big deal is this housing anniversary. Good luck with that one.
Okay, but if you want to track it, have at it. But bridal anniversary probably makes more sense. But if you're doing 100 transactions a year and you keep up with their housing anniversary, then have at it. Okay.
I think that's a good one.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying if you've got 16,000 names, good luck collecting their housing anniversary. I mean, you're going to have a big enough problem trying to get their correct home address, much less their housing. I couldn't tell you my housing anniversary. I have no earthly idea. I couldn't even tell you the month.
And you probably don't remember your agent either.
Yeah, I remember my agent.
Okay.
Me. But I couldn't remember the agent we bought it from. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
They need to
Okay.
keep in touch with you.
Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about email marketing, and this is pretty cool because hopefully after today you'll be set up to actually send emails, a bazillion emails, okay? And something else that came out yesterday, remember in the team meeting on Tuesday, we were talking about, oh my God, the website's going away, the world's coming to an end, what are we going to do, right? They came out with websites yesterday. So you can actually create a website. Have fun doing that one. I mean, it works, but you need some quiet time to figure that one out. But we will probably do a class on that here pretty quickly. It's not hard to do, but they're out. So that's a good thing.
I have the instructions printed if anybody wants a copy
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
website, like how to get to it and so forth.
Yeah. It maybe, and hopefully if we do this quickly enough, if y'all want to stick around, we can actually look at that some today too. Okay, so this makes sense about the spreadsheet and the data. I'm going to make an assumption that all of you have at least one contact, and it would be really good if you had two contacts in command.
Don't
All right.
make that assumption.
I'm not going to make that assumption.
Which is
There's a special group of agents that I deal with sometimes. We categorize them as ID10Ts. Are you familiar with that? You're not? Anybody from the tech space at all? No? So an ID10T and ID10T are special people, and sometimes we go over it twice.
Oh, he just caught us.
But if anybody ever refers you to an ID10T, you know what they're talking about, right? Okay. Let's see.
Since we wiped mine, I don't have any contacts anymore.
Why don't you go ahead and put two in there real quick?
That's what I was trying to remember.
Now here, for the exercise today, what I would suggest you doing is having, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a list. And that list can be, technically that list could be one, but just for kicks and grins, let's do two, all right? I'm assuming that every one of you has a KW email address
Yes,
and maybe another email address.
yes.
All right, so what I would do is I would have at least two contacts in command, one of them being you and your name and your KW, your email address. And the next contact could be Wilma Flintstone and your other email address. Because what we're going to do is we're going to create a list made up of two people, and it's going to be those two people, and when we send the email out, the email is going to go out to you and your other email address. So then you can log in and you can actually see what it looks like. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's everybody go to command, and maybe I can make the screen come on. Okay.
Nope.
All right. So
How do you log into command?
how do you log into command?
Command?
Are you left-handed or right-handed?
Command.
So we have a special group here.
It's like what, everybody in this row?
Agent.kw.com.
Agent.
And remember in a previous class how we did a shortcut and we put it up there at the top so you
Yeah,
can just
yeah.
click on it every time? You may still have that shortcut on your browser. Okay, so over here, how do we get to settings? Does anybody remember?
Yeah.
Zero.
Right there.
Underneath your name.
Okay, and then we come over here to settings, correct? So I
Yes.
want you to do that. Go to settings.
hopefully your screen looks sort of like mine.
Yep.
Okay, so let's scroll down till you see one called Mailchimp. Shake your head when you see it.
I have two.
Yep, you have two.
Okay, Mailchimp.
Okay, so good. So that's good. Everybody know how to open a second browser? You see the plus sign up at the very top of my screen to the right of the browser window that's open?
Yep.
I want you to click on the plus sign, and that should open up a new web browser. There should be nothing on it, or whatever your default homepage is. Okay? And I want you to type in, all right, first off,
Who already has a Mailchimp email account? Okay? All right. So some of this doesn't apply to you guys. Is it a paid Mailchimp account or is it free? Okay, so with a free Mailchimp account, you get 2,000 contacts for free. Okay? So, now, if you have more than 2,000 contacts, then you have to start paying money for it. So there's a whole discussion on, well, I got 5,000 people, but I really don't want to pay for the thing. So can I have multiple accounts and have 2,000 in this account, 2,000 in that account, 1,000 in this account? Theoretically, you could. But every time you do that, you'd have to go into Mailchimp and reconfigure the settings, which would probably drive you crazy. Okay? So if you, and the pricing for Mailchimp is on their webpage. It's not all that expensive. If you're making money in the real estate business and email is part of it, it probably makes sense to spend money on Mailchimp. Okay? The back end and the things that we can do with Mailchimp are pretty slick. And we can do much more with Mailchimp today than we can with Command, meaning from an email perspective, and we're going to look at that also. So, what we're about to do is for the people that don't have an account, we're going to create a Mailchimp account. We're going to create a free Mailchimp account.
So I want you to go to Mailchimp.com. Should look like my screen. Shake your head, or if it doesn't look like that, raise your hand. Okay, everybody's good? In the top right corner, it says Sign Up Free. I want you to left click one time on Sign Up Free.
Now it's asking us, what's the email address that you want this account related to? If you use an email account with your own domain in your business and you don't use your KW, then use that email address. But if everything that you do for real estate is your KW email address, then use your KW email address. Okay? I guess what I'm saying is you don't have to use your KW address, but if that's what you use for business, then use your business, whatever business address you use. Your username can be anything you want it to be, and when you click on it in just a minute, it will tell you if somebody else has already figured that out or not. And create whatever password you want to create. And here's the fine print down here. 1 lowercase, 1 uppercase, 1 number, 1 special character, 8 characters minimum. That's probably get us another 30 minutes before everybody figures that one out, but that one's kind of aggravating sometimes. And I'll wait for you guys to get that done.
Anybody else need any more time? Everybody's good. Everybody's good? Okay. All right, so everybody's created a Mailchimp account, so we really don't need this browser window anymore, so it's up to you. You can either click on the command browser window, or you can close this one by left clicking one time on the X on that tab at the top. So that brings us back to the settings in Command. Now, we want to set up
the email campaigns within Mailchimp. Since mine's already set up, I don't know what it looks like on your screen, so I'm going to look over your shoulder.
They say you need to activate the account.
Okay, good.
What is the,
Scroll down a little bit, not so fast.
right here?
There you go. Email campaign, and then down, scroll down one more where this one right here says email drip campaigns and mail. So connect account.
Which one? This
Doesn't
one or
matter,
that one?
doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
We'll end up doing both of them before it's long. Okay, so now this particular screen is saying what is your Mailchimp username that you just created. So go ahead and put that in. Not your email address, the username. Remember a minute ago, it asked for username and it asked for email address? Hang on one second. Question?
I thought it said you could use your email address as the username now.
I don't know. If it works, then I'm all for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it works.
It's okay.
Okay. All right. And then put your,
You can get one for free.
all right, scroll down and hit login. Oh, put your password in again. All right, put your password in, and you gotta have to click the little box that says I'm not a robot. Question? Okay.
I was thinking something else, I guess, at the time on settings, or I got this directory.
Okay.
What settings?
What are you in?
I'm here and.
You're in
Can't
market
come
leader.
in.
You're not in command, you're in market leader.
Oh, really?
Yep. So go to agent.kw.com.
Agent.
Agent.kw.com.
I got it on. Also, on the
I thought I had all these.
It's not what it is, what you thought you were doing. Okay, go ahead and log in. If you look at your screen harder, it goes faster. Especially on Tuesdays when you do updates. And then go over here, do the settings.
Here.
Yep.
This is like a mailing address.
And then scroll down until you find Mailchimp.
I'm looking pretty hard.
You're not looking hard enough. All right, scroll down a little bit more. All right, and a little bit more. There you go, Mailchimp, connect account.
Should I go ahead and
I might have two.
Yep. All right, put in your Mailchimp username, Mailchimp password. Okay, and then, did you put it in correctly? Try it again. All right, so, yeah, scroll down and
just leave it?
yeah, go ahead and type it in again. Anybody else having problems?
I have a question.
Okay.
I do have a Mailchimp account, and I was
Okay.
trying to make another one.
Okay.
So should I just create a?
Well, all right, is there a reason that you want to have a second Mailchimp account?
No, I don't have the information. I don't know.
Okay. You don't
how to get
have a
it.
login
No, I
password?
just, the person that does my other website,
Okay.
I just texted her real quick. I talked to her this morning, but I don't know if she'll get back to me in time.
Okay.
So, should I just create something?
Yeah, as long as you remember it.
I'm writing it down.
Okay. Ready?
Hey, sorry about that. I just came in late.
Sorry. So you're in Connect, you're not in Command.
Okay.
So it's agent.kw.com. There you go. All right, hey, do you already have a Mailchimp account?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, so open another tab
Okay.
and go to Mailchimp.com. In the top right corner, it'll say create free account or something like that.
Hey, Dee,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm still having a tough time getting in.
Okay. All right, when you created it just a second ago, all right, go ahead and put your password. And don't hit enter. All right, now let's scroll down a little bit. All right, I'm not a robot. Check
Do
it.
that.
And hit login. Sorry, we couldn't find an account with a username. We kept you recused. All right, for good reasons. After 9 more failed login attempts, you wait 30 minutes before trying. All right, so go back to username. Underscore. It says underscore username. So what it's saying is, all right, so recover
I tried
username.
that. Yeah, I tried that.
And they should have sent you an email. Did you go to your email and check?
Nope.
All right, go ahead and put your email in again, or whatever one you used to log in with. Okay, and recover using, all right, and scroll down a little bit. Recover username. All right, so it says an email sent there. All right, and then refresh and see what you can find. Or you could open up another screen for Gmail and get it right there and not have to use your phone.
Oh, okay. Well,
Questions? Anybody?
yes.
Jake?
You just don't like this connected status, current status connected.
Oh, crap. Put your website in.
You're connected. You're good.
So it's not
Where it says connected, you're good. You're golden.
Just hit it.
Yep. No, you don't have to hit it. You're good. All right, yeah. So if you want to do the other one, I don't know the difference. I don't know why there are 2, so I just log into both of them.
It's asking me now, like, I do have a website, but I don't want to put that in because I'm afraid that I'm trying to make one up because I don't have any information. Just go ahead.
We can add it later.
Okay, good. Thank you.
As a matter of fact, Mailchimp is actually building a CRM also.
And you know what, my address is gonna be the same, so I hope there's not a conflict with them too. So,
Well, it's probably fixable. Any more questions? Okay. So, does everybody in the settings, does everybody see Mailchimp and it says connected one account? All right, so let me tell you a little bit about the back end of Mailchimp. Question?
I'm so sorry.
Sure.
It doesn't connect.
Didn't connect?
Just didn't even.
The second one.
And you click I'm not a robot? And then log in.
Yes, do I have a list? Well.
Are you in there?
It's not indicating anything. Right here.
Yeah, wait.
Irene.
I know.
Try refreshing, or you know what an incognito window is?
Yeah.
You can try that also. Are you in?
I think so.
Okay,
Say
good.
connect.
All right, so everybody's in.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's giving me a different code and I'm sitting here.
Well, just plug it in. Or you just click on it. Okay, yeah, so copy that code. Control C.
There it is.
Connected.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Wait a minute, that's not where we want to go. We want to go to wherever it was giving you the. All right, go back to that email.
What,
To the email that just says, just checking to be sure that you please copy and paste following code into the verification code field. All right, where was the field where it was asking for a verification code a while ago?
I thought it was here, but
No. Do you have another? What about right here?
I can go ahead and sign in again.
Okay, try it. And now, if it asks for a verification field, you may have to go through that whole thing again.
I don't even have the option of going into the incognito window. I don't know why. There should be the dot there.
What are you trying to do now?
Go to the incognito window. I don't have the option.
And this is Chrome?
Yeah, it's cool.
Show your, oh, you do have the, sure, oh, just because it needs to do an update. See that green thing? It
Yeah.
needs to update Chrome. You got an old version of Chrome. Question? All right.
I'm at the point with Mailchimp. I don't know how many people are on it, and now it says specific. How many emails?
Oh, you sign up for the free one?
Yeah.
Well, it shouldn't even ask you that.
It did.
We did.
Did? All right,
Yeah.
so you said less than 2,000?
Okay, so now.
That's fine.
I don't worry about social media.
Did you click on the
Not right.
free? They, that they didn't ask you.
Account's ready. Ready, Freddie?
Okay, we need to click anything else?
Oh, you're good.
Okay, good.
All right, so now go back over to command.
So I need to get out of here now?
Yeah,
Okay. Just totally get out of there.
command's the very first tab. And go into settings, which is underneath, right beside your name. It pops up. Try the down arrow now. No, not that one. Go back over, no, get out of that. No, right beside our name, just, whoop, go ahead and log in again. All right, see the down arrow right beside your name right there?
Mhm.
Hit that one. Go to settings. Scroll down until you find Mailchimp. There it is. Connect account. All right, this is it's asking for your Mailchimp username that you just created a second ago.
That's good.
Or put in your email. Your email did work?
It did.
Yeah, don't put in your email. And put in your Mailchimp password. All right, you had a question?
Where am I where I'm supposed to be?
That's
Okay.
fine. You're good.
Maybe take.
Okay, give it a second. Scroll down and look for Mailchimp again. See if it says connected.
Oh,
All right, connect again. Let's see. It's up to you. You want to create, you want to save the password.
Connect account.
Yep, connect account. Username or email address. Sorry, couldn't find the account, that username. Well, I think it might have been password, okay. All right, everybody else ready to roll? Okay. This is the hardest part of the whole thing. Once we do that, we don't have to do this anymore. Okay? Unless you change your login name and password. Hopefully that'll be the exception and not the rule. Okay, so we're still on the settings screen, but now, how do I get to the home page of command? Does anybody remember?
Is it the house on the side?
The house on the side? That'll work. What's the red button in the top left corner do?
Shows you everything, yeah.
Makes it wider so you can actually see what those little icons mean. Okay, good. Okay, so let's go down, all the way down to, you see the megaphone with the little icon? For some reason that means campaigns. It's from home, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down, including home. Make sense? Left click one time on campaigns. And your screen should look like my screen. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, so let's follow my screen for just a second and then we'll do it on your screen. Okay? So watch the screen up here. All right, what we have, this screen is not unlike the opportunities screen in that you see where it says paid campaigns and the little teal colored line is underneath it? So this screen is telling us everything we want to know about paid campaigns. If we wanted to know everything about email campaigns, then I'd left click one time on emails and the line turns teal. If I wanted to know about direct mail, I click on that. If I wanted to know about social posts, I click on that. Make sense? So what we're talking about today is email. So I'm going to left click one time on email. Okay? So don't worry about your screen yet. Keep watching mine. This tells me that I have 4 email campaigns. I've sent out 4 in the last 30 days. I've sent to 8 recipients, 14 views, and clicks, and blah, 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 blah. Well, what I'm most concerned about is configuring list. Okay? Now, because we're using a free version of Mailchimp, Mailchimp is a separate piece of software that is not affiliated with Command at all. Okay, it's not written by KW. It's a third-party company, and it's a great piece of software. There are a bazillion other corporations that use Mailchimp that have absolutely nothing to do with real estate. Okay? So some of the things that you can do with Mailchimp on the back end are reporting. For example, let's say that you send out an email to 300 people. You send it out on Tuesday morning, and you go, well, is the phone ringing? Anybody call me? I want to buy a house. Maybe not. But one of the reports that you can run after the fact is you can say, well, of the 300 people, how many people opened it? That's interesting. If in your email you had a link to your website, how many people clicked on the link? If you had multiple links in your website, for instance, one link goes to maybe to download the little KW app for your phone, and another link goes to a blog post that you had on your website, and another link goes to some graphic that you had about the real estate market. So you got 3 links, 4 links, all in the same email. So what's kind of nice is we just sent the email out to 300 people. Tomorrow or this afternoon, we log into the back end of Mailchimp and we open up our report. And it says that, hey, 38% of all the people you sent it to opened your email. Okay, whoopie-doo. How many of them clicked on the link? Well, 28% of them clicked on the link that goes to the infographic. So we go, all right, well, maybe that's what they were interested in. 2% went to the link for your app on your phone. So how you use your email and the information that you have in your email is kind of important, because when you go to look at that report, you can see what is of interest to the people that opened your email. Not only that, so next week we send another email, and the week after that we send another email. So all of a sudden now, the more you do this, the more information that you have about your campaigns to see if what you're spewing out to them is of any interest. And so what happens if you get a 2% open rate, maybe your subject line needs a little tweaking. If your subject line says, hey, want to buy a house? How many people do you think are going to open it? Not very many. Okay? If you had the subject line, nude photos of Beyonce, a whole lot more people are going to open it, right? Or you're going to get flagged as spam. So your subject line is very important when you start doing email marketing, but you also want to test your best lines. And one of the things to think about is what's called an A/B split test. The same exact email, but if you want to send it to 300 people, you'd send 150 people the email with subject line number 1, and you'd send 150 people subject line number 2. So now you can see which subject line people are opening. Now, one of the other things on the report on the back end of Mailchimp is you had 38% open rate, which is phenomenal. You had an 18% click-through rate, which is phenomenal. But you can also run the report and say, of the 300 people, Fred opened my email 13 times. Who do you think you're going to be calling tomorrow? Exactly. And then next week you send out another email, and Fred opened it again like 10 times. So it's kind of a barometer, and you're going to pick up the phone, and Ernie opened it 18 times. So you pick up the phone, you say, hey Ernie, I've been sending out some emails, just wanted to follow up, but we hadn't talked in a long time. You know what Ernie's going to tell you? I was just thinking about you. And you're going to say, I know. I know, dude. I know exactly what you're thinking about, right? So this is a tool that's pretty neat. It gives you some insight, and you're going to be able to do that. So what we need to do is we need to create a list. And with the free account of Mailchimp, you can have Mailchimp, we call it list in command. Mailchimp calls it an audience. So in Mailchimp, with a free account, you can have one audience. With a paid account, you can have multiple audiences. All we're worrying about today is one account, one audience, and one list. I went round and around last week with command, pulling my hair out because I wanted to have a list for this and a list for that and a list for this, and I want to have tags and all this kind of stuff, and it wouldn't work. And it wouldn't work. So I spent an hour and 18 minutes on hold with command the other day, only to find out you can only have one list. So I'm going to save every one of you. That would be approximately 50 man hours, right, that I'm saving Keller Williams right now. 50 man hours. You can only have one list. Okay? We can call that list anything we want to call it. So over here on the right-hand side where it says Configure List, I'm going to left-click one time, and I'm going to create a list, and I called it Pete's Mailchimp List. Okay? So now, you can look at your screen now, and you went, we're in the campaigns, correct?
Yes.
And then you clicked on emails at the top, correct? And then on the far right it says Configure List.
Yeah.
That's where we want to be.
Okay.
All right? So now you want to configure your list. And does it allow you to create the list?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. You call it anything you want to call it. I called it Pete's Mailchimp List because that's what it is.
Create list.
You can create a list. That's correct. Everybody's good? Everybody got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You had to put your email addresses and all that back in there?
Nope.
I don't have my names in
Nope.
it.
Just create the list.
It's got a little red.
It looks like I don't have.
It's asking for a lot of,
It's asking for stuff.
spaces to fill in. List name, email.
Okay, all right, so you called it Nancy's List, that's fine. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, with an
Yeah. Well,
email
so what's
on it.
happening, because it's an email list, when you send the email, it's going to say, what email do you want to use, what name do you want to use, so fill this part out.
So remind people how they sign up to your list.
Okay, that's a good question. Say it louder.
It's asking for a reminder of how those people signed up to your list.
Okay, so, has anybody here ever gotten spam email before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know there are laws in the United States called canned spam?
Yeah.
They're all over the world. It's even more serious in Europe, okay? But there are laws in the United States that say every time you send out an email, a marketing email, you have to have something down at the bottom that gives the recipient the ability to unsubscribe to your list. Well, because KW is in a relationship with Mailchimp, and Mailchimp is one of the largest email providers in the world, Mailchimp requires that at the bottom of every email. And so part of that is you have to say how the recipient got on your list. And they're pretty serious about that. Question?
It's asking add contact. So I would add all the contacts?
No, just put one in there. It doesn't really matter. Just put one of the contacts that you can put yourself in there because you're already a contact, right?
Okay, yes.
So go ahead and put your contact in there. Question?
Is there good verbiage to use for that? Because it's a mandatory, I think it's a mandatory.
It's absolutely
field.
mandatory.
So what's a good thing to put in there?
Here's something that's good to put in there. Open a new tab, go into your email, and open any one of those emails that you've already gotten this morning, any of the 37 spam mails you've already gotten this morning, and look at the bottom of one and put something. Don't put something like, because you love me, right? But you could say, bridal shower. You could say whatever you want to say, but that's just to be compliant. Question?
Okay.
I just, it says should auto default to you receiving this email because you opted in via our website.
Okay.
And then I put or you've asked for more information.
Perfect. Say it again.
So it should default, you're already receiving this email because you opted in via our website. And then I put comma, or you ask for more information, because if you're networking with people, they may not have signed something to accept, but they've asked for more information.
Perfect. Perfect.
And then you don't have to get all,
Yeah,
they're gonna, if they don't want it, they're gonna opt out after your first email.
Yeah, hang on one second, remember your
Yeah,
question.
yeah, no
All right, here's another thing to remember, is we're in the marketing business. And if you have a list of 100 people, and let's say that you know every one of these 100 people, all right? Let's say you got a list of 300 people. By the time you send your second email or your third email, some people are going to unsubscribe. Don't worry about it. Don't lose sleep about it. It's going to happen, okay? 3% unsubscribe rate. What will happen once you start sending emails on a consistent basis? At some point, some people are going to unsubscribe because what you're sending them is not of value to them. It doesn't mean that you can't send them a one-to-one email. It simply means that you can't send them a mass email. Question.
And when they unsubscribe, is that something that automatically happens through Mailchimp, where they won't get additional emails going forward, or we have to physically go in and remove them?
It actually works both ways. It's going to happen in Mailchimp,
Okay.
and it's going to happen in Command.
So we will get a separate email or a separate something notifying us, hey, this person has unsubscribed?
Depends on if you set up notifications for that sort of thing.
Okay.
But you're going to become so obsessive at looking at your reports that and I'm the same way. I have found that when I send my emails out, the best time, and now 99% of the people that I send emails to are here in the Southeast, in the Eastern time zone. Okay? You don't have to get any more granular than that. But I have found that the vast majority of people that open my emails between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. Who'd have thought? I had no idea. But I kept sending emails and I kept looking at the graph, and it says, hey, that's the best time to send it.
And my reason for asking about the unsubscribe is just to make sure that I'm staying compliant, and I don't want to miss someone unsubscribing and I don't catch it.
Yeah,
So it's,
when they click the unsubscribe button, Mailchimp will know about it and Command will know about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so it is taken care of. You do not have to take an action.
awesome.
That's correct.
The system.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and somebody will ask a question sooner or later. Well, if they unsubscribe, does it delete them out of Command? No,
Okay.
no. So you don't have to worry about that. But what I'm telling you, don't lose any sleep with unsubscribes. Just find more people. Okay? People are going to unsubscribe. Now, if a bazillion people start unsubscribing, you need to start thinking about what's my content. Right? Question.
How do you put in the unsubscribing, the option?
It will do it. You'll see that in just a second. When we actually send an email to this list, you're going to send an email to yourself, and you're going to see at the bottom it will tell you how to do that.
Okay.
Okay? So, everybody's created a list, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Please tell me you're recording.
We are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So,
Almost it.
how do we get back to the home screen of Command? The house. Let's go back to the house.
So save that, what you
Save it.
got.
Yeah, you have to say
Save it.
now.
Yeah,
Go ahead and
Otherwise,
save it.
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead and save it.
It says error.
And do we need any more contacts than just ourselves?
No, because I'm going to show you in just a second.
It was error for you too.
Yeah,
For you.
I'm gonna try to save error while saving changes.
Save list, and then what happens? User does not have access to the requested information.
Here, we'll see.
Yeah, we won't let you save it.
Okay,
Mine
and
says
so,
your
Have
last
an email
name
address?
All right.
on your.
all right, so I have seen that happen on mine before, but it's because I'm trying to create multiple lists. Did that happen to everybody?
Nah, I did.
Did it work for anybody?
Not yet.
It worked for you.
Yeah, you work for me.
It worked for you. Okay. Did you have existing Mailchimp accounts?
Yes.
Like,
Well, I'm asking the
Yes.
work.
Yes.
No.
No?
You have
Okay.
yourself in here, aren't you?
Okay.
No?
Do 7 there.
Am I in there?
You know what?
You gotta, somebody you can, all right, go.
Go to edit and put something.
No, yeah, because it's pulling from your command list, so quickly
Okay,
add
so-
yourself. Do you know how to do that? Okay, go
I
here.
created a list,
Do we have to put something?
and it would not allow you to create a list, correct?
Doesn't allow you to save it.
Check
Did you put?
on the thing, check and make sure your full name is there, because it just had Eddie and it didn't have Levin. I put Levin in and I hit save and it did it for me.
Okay.
Quickly add your information and give us that email address. Put that in there real quick.
Does it have anything to do with the
Right there.
contact that you choose? Is that the
Was
reason
it
it's kicking out?
was it a contact that's already in your database?
Yeah.
It shouldn't. Okay.
You're gonna map it on and use that.
So we got
Yeah,
a
so you
list
can-
name.
So like I have
All right,
for my
default
testing, I
email,
have Eddie,
default
AW,
name,
and I
add
have
contact,
a,
and
yeah, go ahead and save it on anything else.
I had,
Okay, so now,
an error while saving changes. All right, we're going to create a list. Call it
It's gonna spin out.
Mossy. Yeah, that's fine. For the time being, we can change it.
it could be that everybody's on here too.
Default from name.
It's invalid, it's everything else. is
Add a
invalid.
contact.
I want to throw something out to the class.
The contact that you added does have an email address, correct?
Put another one in there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, can I get everybody's attention for a second? Command, which is wonderful, sometimes behaves, I mean, it's still a work in progress, right? So any of these classes we do, not everything is seamless at the time we're doing it. I'm concerned about holding up the entire class for 2 or 3 agents that, but I need y'all's permission to go forward with the class, just knowing that we'll work out your little or big issue afterwards. But I want feedback. I want buy-in from those that are coming to the class, that we're not gonna stop for individual issues until we get to 11.
We
Okay, I need some feedback.
You
I mean,
had
if
2 or 3
everybody
You're
wants.
not gonna be able
You
to.
had 2 or 3 people that it went through for, but you also had how many people didn't go through?
Yeah.
Exactly,
I think you gotta ask
and when,
questions.
right, so,
I agree with that.
but we have to, I feel like we need to make a group decision and move on.
Stacy, so like at 11 o'clock, then we can ask for help.
Well, all of our classes from now on are designed to be a class from 10 to 11,
Yeah.
and from 11 to 12 is
Then get
individual.
Okay, yeah.
One-on-one,
I think
you know, like it
that's
didn't work. Now, it could be that right at the beginning of the class, it's not working on your laptop. That's why I'm trying to have an adult conversation with y'all. If y'all want Pete to stop and help each person, the minute it doesn't work on you need to speak up.
Go ahead.
So if we just watch the.
Because
we're gonna
Yeah.
have to catch up afterwards. Like, I think
Because we're
we just have-
recording.
I think, Pete, you need to just go through it.
Okay.
Okay, Ernie, I want to hear from you, because you're sitting here with Eddie. Eddie, are you listening?
I'm listening.
We're listening.
We're good, you can.
But-
Yeah, keep
You can
going.
go, you can
Okay,
keep
but
going.
this is
So what I.
kind of
keep moving
disruptive,
on.
so
Is what you're, like, we should just take class.
follow along.
Follow along.
Do the best you
watch,
can.
And then have questions at 11 o'clock.
That's what I'm suggesting, but
Okay.
if that really is upsetting to everybody, I need to know
No,
it.
that's.
I know.
Right, yeah.
All right, so let's try this. Let's look at my screen.
Yeah.
This is the first time you see it, you go, oh my God, I'm trying to write all these notes down, I'll never remember what he said.
Right.
Okay. One thing, we're streaming it. All right. The next thing is, once you kind of sit down and start using it, it's not that difficult after a while. So the hard part we've already done. You created your Mailchimp account. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to get our names to Mailchimp. Now, one of the challenges today with Command is the names that you send to Mailchimp, you can't segment that into multiple lists. So the bottom line is you kind of have to go into Mailchimp. I mean, you have to go into Command and you take your whole database and you send it out to Mailchimp. Now you can administer your quote database in Command. But if we go to, we created the list just a minute ago, right? And we can add names to the list and we can take names off of the list, okay? When you take a name off of the list in Command, it also takes the name out of the database in Mailchimp. The downside of that is the more information that you have in Mailchimp and the more historical information you have in Mailchimp, the better Mailchimp can report back to you on, and it kind of gives you a weighted number for each email address in Mailchimp that says, hey, this particular email address, every time you send them an email, they open it. And you're going, all right, that's kind of good. That's kind of important to know, right? The challenge that you have is if you're doing that and you delete Fred Flintstone out of your Mailchimp database, then you got no data anymore. Mailchimp has no data anymore, which now can't give you that good information. Does that make sense? Okay. So, how do we get names into our Mailchimp database? Well, remember when I went to the home screen just a second ago, and I said, well, let's go to contacts. So I come over here to contacts, and it shows me all of my contacts. Now, in my case, you can customize the columns up here in the top right corner to show what particular columns, vertical columns, show up on your screen. So in my case, I'm interested in what the tags, the custom tags are, because I want to create a database for just a particular group of tags. And I want to send all those people to my Mailchimp database. One of the things that you can do is you can click on filters. I left click one time on filters. And over here on custom tags, I say I want to get all the KWAP staff, right? And then I scroll down to the bottom and I hit apply. So now all the contacts that show up right here are just KWAP staff. In your case, you have a tag. Remember those tags that we did just a second on the grease board? Mm-hmm. Some of them were, I've forgotten now what they all were.
Anniversary, birthday,
Garden Club, bridal. Yeah. All right. So this is a tag, and you also have within Command something called a Smart View, which if it's something that you want to do on a regular basis, then you create a Smart View so you don't have to come in and do all these tags every time, or you don't have to filter by these tags every time. I filtered my database, and the only people I have in here are KWAP staff. I come over here to the left, and I click this button which checks everybody. Then, right above the name column, it says Select Bulk Action, and there are all kind of things we can do there. So we can add a note to every record. We can send a bulk text. We can put another tag in there if we wanted to, right? So this is kind of a way that Command is giving you a way to manipulate your database, as long as you do it 50 contacts at a time, which would drive you crazy. But what I'm most interested in is add to email list. Now, what's important is that we already created that email list. So for the people for whom it didn't work, nothing's going to happen. But when I click on this, it's going to take every one that I have a checkbox, and it's going to put it over to my list called Pete's Mailchimp list. Okay? Remember, you can only have one list. So I went round and round trying to do multiple lists, and it never would work, and I was pulling my hair out. You can only have one list. So as long as we created that list, we're good to go. When I simply click on Send to Email List, it says which list. I say Pete's Mailchimp list, and I hit Add. And poof, in real time. Now what I should have done is I should have opened another window. I will open another window. And I'm going to go to Mailchimp.
I'm going to log in. I only have like 900 Mailchimp accounts. I'm going to log in, I'm going to go to my audience, and I'm going to view my contacts, and there are those are the contacts from Command that just got pushed down to Mailchimp. Okay? So what happens, the way that Command is architected is Command gives you an interface so that you can send the, happy birthday or there's a bunch of templates in there that are canned that you can use. And when we get into the design, the Command design class, you can design an email to look any way you want to. So now when you go to send an email, you can either use a template that KW supplies for you, or you can send an email that you have designed yourself. And it says, okay, great. Who do you want to send it to? And you're going to send it to your Pete's Mailchimp list, right? Which I have already synchronized over to Mailchimp. Mailchimp is a much more robust interface. You could also do all of your emails if you wanted to from within Mailchimp and not even use Command. There's actually, today, there's more power in using Mailchimp by itself than using KW Command. But you got to get the names into Mailchimp somehow, right? So you just saw how I went and I pulled particular tags and I said copy it to Pete's Mailchimp list, and whew, they went in there. Now I can come right here. Let's just say that we take one of these names because we're in Mailchimp right now. Let's say that this Stacy person will take out, we'll say take Stacy, and we are going to right mouse, I'm going to action's what I'm looking for. I'm going to remove the contact called Stacy. All right, we're going to permanent delete. Now I have to, unfortunately, I have to type the word, in order to delete it in Mailchimp, you have to type the word in caps, P-E-R-M-E-N-T, perman, E-N-T-L-Y, D-E-L-E-T-E. That's the only way you can delete somebody.
Hi, Stacy.
That's your double dog dare.
So there is no Stacy anymore. Now, when I come back over here to Command, and I come back over here to my campaign, and I come to email, and I look at my list, hopefully I did it fast enough, and I edit my list, Stacy is not in there anymore. Okay? So,
They're talking to each other.
that's correct. They're synchronizing with each other. So I could either go into Command and X Stacy out, and it would talk to Mailchimp and take her out, or I can be in Mailchimp and take her out, and it will take her out of the list in Command. It's not going to delete Stacy's contact record in Command. It's just going to take her out of this list.
Mailing.
Okay? Mailing list. That's correct.
If you make a mistake and you take Stacy out and you go, oh, why did I do that?
Yep.
Can you put her back in?
Absolutely. However, all of the historical data, remember you've been sending her emails for like 6 weeks now. All of that historical data is gone. It's not the end of the world. Let's put it this way. If you guys are not doing broadcast emails right now, it's not going to change the world. But if you're obsessive about your email and you've been doing emails for 6 or 7 years, then you just shot your foot off. Okay? If you are serious about doing emails, then I would suggest to you that you get deeper into Mailchimp, because there's a lot more you can do in Mailchimp. You can segment your list in Mailchimp. We can't segment our list in Command today without taking them out of that main list. Okay? All right. Let me kind of hustle through this part. How do I get back to the home screen? Let's go to the house. We go to the house. All right? All right, I'm going to come down here to campaigns. I'm going to go to email, and I'm going to create a new email campaign. And my choices are social paid ad, costs money. Google ad, costs money. Social post does not. It goes to Facebook or Instagram, wherever. Direct mail, obviously, it's going to cost money at some point because you got to buy the stamp, you got to buy the envelope, right? You got to go to a mail house. What we're going to do is an email campaign. So I left click one time on email, and this email is going to be Pete's number 3 test campaign. Is there a standard for calling it? You call it anything you want to call it. Okay? Maybe you're doing an email about Halloween, or whatever. Something so that when you see the report, you'll know, oh, I remember that email. Okay? Select the account. I like that. All right, so that's going to be my account. Who are you sending the campaign to? Well, I'm going to add my list. Oh, no, I'm not. I am going to click on the recipient list, and it says Pete's Mailchimp list. Remember what I said just a second ago. I can't segment this list. It's sending it to the entire Pete's Mailchimp list. Okay? If you wanted to only send it to left-handed men, you can't do that. You can do that through Mailchimp, but you can't do it through Command. All right, so we're going to send it to Pete's list. Who is sending it? The sender, we'll just say, is Pete English, spelled correctly every once in a while. Subject is, oh, how about this? What do you think my open rate's going to be? All right, and the content. So this is where we get into, it says apply design. We're going to click the apply design, and it's going to bring up choose an email template. Now the templates that we can use can either be, if you notice in my top right corner, a KW template that they are supplying to us, which is what you see on the screen. All of these are templates right here, all right? Or if you have designed your own template, you say my templates, all right? So here are Pete's 2 templates that he has designed. Okay? So today we're not going to talk about designing templates. We're just talking about email. So let's go back and let's pick a KW template, and let's just say, let's send this connected seller blue. I have no earthly idea. All right, so here's the email over here on the left that's going to send out. All right? Now, we can change everything on the right. So the left is what it's going to look like. The right is how we change things. So if I wanted to have a different picture of myself, I could remove it and change it. If I wanted to have a different logo, I could change it. All of the contact details, Pete, English, telephone number, office number. Notice that all of that is over here on the left somewhere. So you change the template on the right, and it shows you what it's going to look like on the left. Does that make sense? Now, this is a standard template that KW is supplying to us. When you go and create your own template and you design it, you can make it look like anything you want it to look like. You can make it look as good or ugly as you so desire. Okay? Now, so I like what this email looks like. If you notice right here, this is a field that it's going to pull from your database. So it's going to say, hey, person in your database. And then this is the rest of the information that the email is going to send out. Right? So I'm going to apply this design. And now I'm going to send the email. And it says this is what it's going to look like. It's going to go to 7 recipients. Shoot. If I send this, it's going to go to everybody at KW here. So I'm not going to do that. It makes sense? Remember the list that I tagged was every KW person, so I'm not going to send it. But let me see if I can find one that I have done in the past. Let's see if we can find something.
Well, I probably deleted them out. Okay, well, I don't have one, but you saw what it looked like just a second ago. Okay? In a nutshell,
That's it. All right. The first thing we did is we cleaned up our database. All right. The second thing we did is we created a Mailchimp account. The next thing we did is we created a list, and then we started adding people to the list. And lastly, we created a campaign to send an email out to a whole bunch of people using whichever template you want to use. Makes it sound easy. I know some of your head are probably about to explode, but that's it in a nutshell. Okay? Question?
On the agent details, is there a place in here where you would just put that in once?
Perfect
It would
question.
populate, like,
Say,
on our
ask the
Forward
question a
Links
little
websites?
louder.
Is there a place where you can put all this info in and then it would just populate every time you do a template? You don't have to type that in every single time you do a new.
Does anybody know the answer to that question?
profile?
The profile,
Where do you find the profile?
right under where your name is, click down.
Right here, settings, correct? So the answer is yes. When you go in and you set up your marketing profile, all of that information, not only does it go into your email templates, but it also goes to your website. Okay? So, let me just show you. Top right corner, the little triangle beside your name, we go down to settings. We're going to leave this page. All right. And then where did I go to do that?
He's going to show you.
Where did I do that? Where's my
Page sites.
No, it's around this thing, but I'm not sure where I'm at.
Under connect settings, there's a marketing profile.
Is that where it was? Connect settings?
Uh-huh.
Marketing profile. There you go. That's exactly where it is. All right, let me do that again. Top right corner, I go to settings. And then over on the left, we come down to connect settings. Expand on connect settings, and it says marketing profile. And then you go into your marketing profile, and you can set up all of that information, your bio, all that stuff right there. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Okay, good
I
question.
didn't have a photo of him.
All right. Now ask me the hard questions, or the questions that you're going, what would prevent you from sending an email sometime this week? Nothing?
Ours is not set up.
Okay.
Ours is not set up.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Now, let me show you the back end. So that's command, and command talks to Mailchimp. Now let me show you what you can do on the back end of Mailchimp. So I'm going to go to Mailchimp. I'm actually going to log out of this account, and I'm going to log into a different account. I do the newsletter for our subdivision. In our subdivision, we have, I don't know, like 190 houses or something like that. So we've got about 200, 300 emails that I send the newsletter out to. So we're going to log into that, and we're going to look at all the campaigns that I've sent. Now, I built every one of these emails using the Mailchimp templates. Has nothing to do with command at all. Mailchimp gives the ability to create any kind of template you want to. So whether you create a template in Mailchimp and send it out, or whether you create the template in command and send it to Mailchimp to send out, doesn't really matter, because Mailchimp is the engine on the back end. Well, there you go. So 242 contacts, and 233 of them are subscribers, which means I've got, 9 unsubscribes, right? So I guess some people don't like the way I write. All right. So let's come up here to reports, and notice all of this stuff right here. Remember, this is over whatever period of time that I've been doing this, and this shows you all kinds of information. So notice
Pool is open this weekend. I sent it out to 233 people. I had a 60% open rate. Okay? I had a 0% click-through rate because I had nothing to click on. It was like, hey, pool's open. All right? But if we come down here to September Home of the Month and other news, one of the things that I kind of play around with is what's my subject line? What can I, in a perfect world, what I'm looking for is 100% open rate. It'll never happen, but my thought process is, what's my subject line to get everybody to open the darn thing, right? And sometimes I've gotten kind of creative on my subject line, but September Home of the Month, because everybody is interested about somebody else's house, right? What's the home of the month? Oh, their house looks like crap. My house looks better than that, right? So, home of the month and other news, I had a 65% open rate. I had 11.5% click-through rate, which means that on my email, if I open it right here, we can see that. Notice, remember I was telling you about the 24-hour performance? I sent the email out, I think, usually I send this one out really early in the morning, but notice that I had, of the 150 some odd people that opened the email, 33 of them opened it at about 7 a.m. in the morning. Okay? Again, our goal as marketers is to get people to open our emails. So you got to play with it. You got to figure out, do I send it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? When are people going to open the email? And this is a report. So if you were a marketing person sending to these people in this subdivision, would you ever send an email at 6 o'clock in the afternoon? No. But you'd never know it unless you looked at your reports. Okay? Now, one of the other things I'm interested in this particular report is the activity. So here, of the 234 people, here are the people that opened my email, and I'm going to sort this column by opens. So Stan Brothers opened my email 22 times. What in the name of whatever? Why would somebody open this email 22 times? I have no idea. Now, this is simply a homeowner's email, right? This was not Pete Marketing Real Estate email. But if this was your email that you sent out to your list, and you came and you ran this report, and you saw that Stan opened it 22 times, Howard opened it 22 times, and Pat opened it 15 times. Hey, Pat, just thinking about you. How things going? I was just thinking about you, Pete. I know. All right? This is the back end of Mailchimp. So just because you go into command and you create an email and Mailchimp delivers it for you, after you've done your campaign, log into Mailchimp and look at the data. And the more you do it, the smarter you're going to get about your campaigns. And then you're going to get obsessive about, oh, my subject line, what can I do to get people to open it, right? Or in my email, do I have links? One of the things that you want to do in your email is you want to have links to things that might be of value to people. Because again, we can come in here and we can look on all the links. What did they click on? So I click on links. And the calendar, I happen to know that this is the pool calendar. Okay? So 22 or 55% of the people that opened clicked on the pool calendar. Okay? So you may send out an email that talks about the concerts in Sandy Springs. Don't know. Is that of interest to them? The links are going to tell you that. Okay? Question?
How to log into the Mailchimp?
You just created your account 30 minutes ago.
I know, but when I do that, it did not give me a logged in. Like
in the top right corner, it didn't say log in?
No.
Okay.
Yet, I have it connected to my command.
Mailchimp is connected to command.
Yeah.
Mailchimp is a piece of software written by a totally different company.
I know.
Which means that you need to open up a new web browser.
Yes, I do.
Go to Mailchimp.com.
Okay, go.
Okay, when you go to Mailchimp.com in the top right corner,
Yeah.
there's a way to log in.
Thank you.
And you log in with that account you created 45 minutes ago. Okay? So email marketing can be a big deal if you make it a big deal. And it can give you a whole bunch of information that's going to help you from a marketing perspective. And as you start learning about this, then you'll say, wow, this is kind of cool, right? So ask me some more questions. Question?
So, if we have a birthday in command, it should show over in Mailchimp.
Okay, great question. Let's talk about specifically birthdays. Because does it make sense to do a mass email for birthdays?
No.
Because on any particular day, how many people might have the same birthday? How many hands do I need to use? Can I just use one hand? Like 3 people? So it doesn't make any sense to do a mass email for birthdays. So within Command, there's a whole different tool in Command to do that. All right, and that's called a smart plan. And we haven't done any classes on smart plans. But in essence, what a smart plan does is a smart plan is kind of like a robot that sits in the back of your computer. And let's just, for the sake of conversation, say that it wakes up every night at midnight and it goes through your entire database. And it says, has anybody got a birthday today? And it goes, yes, no, yes, no, yeah. And then it magically sends out a template. We looked at templates just a second ago. It sends out the birthday template to everybody that has a birthday today. It's not a mass email.
Okay.
That's called a smart plan.
Okay.
But it's a good question. Okay? Next question. Ernie?
I still haven't got all of my contacts out of Market Leader into Command. I thought I did, but it seems like they're not there. So how can I accelerate that?
Let's do it one-on-one.
Okay.
Okay. Question?
So if you want the contact, if you want to use Mailchimp, can we send the contacts from Command to Mailchimp?
Yes. When we created the list,
Right.
just a minute, I know it didn't work on yours,
Right.
but when you create the list, when you say, I want to send, these names, it goes immediately down to Mailchimp.
Okay.
Now, you can use Mailchimp just like we use Command. You could take a spreadsheet and you could dump that spreadsheet into Mailchimp and do exactly the same thing. So, actually, what I have done is I have taken the spreadsheet and added different tags and sent it into Mailchimp because I couldn't do that through Command. But by doing that, it allowed me to segment my list that's in Mailchimp to send to just left-handed people and just right-handed people. Does that make sense? I can't do that through Command today. But it's important to me to be able to send emails to left-handed people and right-handed people as opposed to all people. Because my email says, hey, tired of being left-handed? Cut your arm off. But, so I'm sure that one day we'll be able to do that in Command. We just can't do it today. Okay? You can send broadcast emails through Mailchimp without ever using Command. And you can send broadcast emails from Command that uses Mailchimp. Okay? But the most important thing is start using the tool. It's free. All right, Eddie?
If you input contacts from like your Gmail into Mailchimp, do they have because Command doesn't have a merge feature where you can see duplicates and so forth?
Well, so the first thing is, all right, so we're finished with email. Anybody who wants to leave can leave. And now I'll just I'll answer any question that you want to do. Matter of fact, let me turn off the stream so I don't bore them to death. All right, so that's the end of the stream.